Hi, I'm Emma Knights from Hillmont Associates Limited. We're a health and safety consultancy based in London and Zurich. Our four core services that we offer are health and safety, training, lifting operations, and environment and quality. And today I have my colleague Nico with me to talk about environment and talk about his role within Hillmont and how his services and his skills can help businesses and companies. So, Nico, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Emma. Thank you so much for that. So my name is Nico Fekete. I work as a senior consultant here in Hillmont. We work with a lot of European companies that do health, safety, environment, quality in their operations, but they are not their main business, which is ours. And we really work with companies to try to improve the culture, creating cultures of betterment. And yes, I'm ready for your questions.
Well, you're our specialist when it comes to environment and quality and sustainability. So, my first big question is, what is environmental management?
So environmental management deals with the long-term consequences of the economic activities that we have. And there are a lot of key sectors that have big impacts on the planet. And these impacts are for us very important to manage. One of them is agriculture, because it has a lot of methane emissions, but in every product that we buy and consume, there is an embedded carbon content. When we manage these emissions, especially from combustion of fossil fuels, we're actually we are emitting carbon emissions apart from other compounds into the atmosphere, and that has created climate change, ozone depletion, and if we do not manage it, we may be putting at risk a lot of lives on Earth. We know that air pollution is one of the biggest killers and a cost for every health system in the world. So environmental management tries to pinpoint in each one of our activities, what are those emissions, what are those impacts that the organization is having, and try to manage them.
And why is sustainability environment important for the construction sector? Is it a legal requirement that companies need to follow?
There is a mix. So on one side, there are some countries in the world that do have it as a legal requirement. But as on another side, the construction industry has a major impact because of the quantity of materials that we order, the quantity of packaging that we produce, the quantity of waste, think of demolition, etc., that we produce. So it is actually really important to manage those impacts. So if you think about it, let's say every product that we buy, every material has a number of carbon emissions embedded into it. The production was energy intensive. It had an amount of water, fresh water that had to be used. And also it had a lot of transport, which meant in the chain, there was a lot of fuel combustion.
Pollution and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there are a lot of companies that are doing incredible things to try to manage these impacts. And we all need houses to live. And we are, as the world progresses, construction is the motor of the economy. And we have to continue building. That's a definite. And tastes for housing, offices, etc. change, and we need to keep updating that. Cities are growing, there's more population, there's demand for housing, for bigger housing, for smaller housing, depends on which life stage you're in. So it is really important to do construction. We don't, we want to continue doing it, but at the same time, we have to think about those impacts. So many companies have already clued into it. And sustainability do not think only about environment. There are economic impacts and there are also social impacts. So for example, we have in the UK, the Building Research Establishment, which is quite a global organization. They have adopted now a standard that is called the WELL standard. It is for the buildings and the environments where people live, work and enjoy, whichever it is, and the quality of those spaces for people. The WELL standard, for example, will speak about how far it has to be a desk from a window, what is the need for natural light within a room, and those things actually change the mood of people. They make them happier. they make them more productive. And yes, we all win.
It's good for their well-being, isn't it, as well?
Yes, certainly.
To think years ago, none of this was even considered, but now, and certainly now and in the future, we really need to think about merging construction and environmental impact together.
Yes, and certainly we have learned from our mistakes. There are some places in the UK where people are reporting to be unhappier, and that is related to the lack of luminosity. Even if it's dark outside, to have a bigger window actually changes a lot of the mood.
Yeah, it changes your mood.
Exactly.
So how can the construction sector and facility management companies, how can they benefit from better environmental management within their organisation?
So the first win-win will be they will save money. In most cases, when you actually start managing your environmental impacts, you have a good life cycle analysis of what are your activities, what are your products, and you will start saving money. That will be the first.
So even though it will cost them money to implement it, they will end up saving money in the long term.
Correct. So it all depends on the return for investment. So we have to stop thinking of the construction industry with these low margins. We have to pay for what it costs. And in some cases, that will mean that the consumer, the end person that buys that apartment, that buys that office, have to pay a little bit more, but they're going to have a building that is much more functional, where people are going to be happier and more productive. And that is probably one of the big things that in sustainability we look when we're thinking about construction. But it's not only that, a lot of people are going to the design and do it very quickly. Let's get the architect done, let's get the building done and in the market because we need the money. But quick bucks really are actually and have shown that they later cost more on the life of the building. They need more refurbishment, more changes, and that is investments on the life cycle of the building that we didn't consider. So let's think about, the design. Let's do the design. Now we have the possibility to create 3D live designs and walk within a building with virtual reality. We can see the building before it's even the first brick put on the ground. And that possibility that technology gives us will allow us to see the building, how people are going to use it, and what happens when there is a change of use.
Which even now, lots of commercial buildings are being changed to residential.
Exactly. So you have Centrepoint, where the Confederation of British Industry was hosted for several years. A brutalist building in middle of London, now are luxury apartments, bought for investors, and are absolutely stunning. That was changed from a use of offices into housing. And there is some social housing as well there, where people have benefited from that refurbishment. I mean, refurbishment is very powerful, and sometimes construction industry goes for demolition and new, but refurbishment can be very powerful to keep the feel and touch of a city, and at the same time, bring novelty into buildings within the site.
And your role as a consultant at Hillman Associates, at what stage should companies perhaps get somebody like you involved to help them? And what specifically can you help them with?
So probably it depends with who are we talking, right? So I will say get us involved at the design stage, because there are regulations that require you to design health, safety, environment, and quality processes within the start. If we are involved with the design process, we can advise how to do it better. We can help in the construction plan management and the design of the health and safety features that the design, construction, and then occupancy may have. At the end of the day, once we know a building, once we know a design, we are completely inside it. We can actually work so much for the construction company as well for the facilities manager.
If construction companies don't get you involved at the beginning stages and more mid-build, is that a problem? Is that something we can still help them with?
We can help them with, but in some cases, depends on what stage, it may cost more because we'll need to do alterations. When they are not already pre-designed, we know exactly what we need to order, we need how to reuse it, how to make use in the next project, etc. That may cost more, but yes, certainly they can involve us at any time.
Yeah, you're right. It's all in the planning, isn't it? Even down to the waste management, which is so important.
Certainly in the last 20 years, it has moved. The idea that we just get the health and safety people just during construction has changed. Now, a construction project and the facilities management project start at the design stage. 80% of the work of how that building will look, will be used, will be built, etc., is done at the design stage, including now the techniques that we're going to use for construction. So there is a process called reverse engineering, in which the construction companies work with the architects to try to redesign how the construction will happen. And of course, the architects are people that they are more creative. They're looking to create buildings that they have a character, that they have a mark on a city. And the construction companies look at those techniques. And then we have to think about the facilities manager. They should also be involved about, you know, what is the idea, who is going to occupy, what other spaces are we creating? Do we have to put partitions that later may be lost? Do we not have to put partitions? And so there is a lot of tailoring that needs later on during occupancy that we have to start thinking about at the start. And so we don't waste material, we don't create unnecessary waste and unnecessary use of materials.
Unnecessary, we don't waste time as well, going back to cover everything again. We're going to talk about tools, environmental tools. Do you have your favourites? Your favourite tools?
Yeah, you may accuse me a bit boring, but I think
Nico, never.
Never. So one of the big things that I really like is ISOs. ISOs, the International Standard Organizations, has a series of standards that try to standardize how things are done. Each one of them works for a company, so the standard has certain prescriptive points, but at the same time, the standard allows your company to tailor-make that standard for yourself, and that works for that company. They require you to continuously improve, and yes, I think ISO probably is my favorite tool in the sense that it will help companies to establish something. And I think we have to highlight here SMEs. SMEs struggle a lot with understanding ISOs, and ISOs are not complex. They are complex on the measure of that organization's complexity. SMEs can benefit a lot from establishing international standards because it helps them to get an approach that is structured and cost-effective to manage their impacts. By doing that, they can win contracts. So the investment is completely come with 1,000 returns. Having those accolades put, you know, this is everyone and this is you guys. So your pool is going to be selected from a much select pool.
Because a lot of contractors are looking for subcontractors perhaps with their ISOs, and we recently just helped a client establish that ISOs. I won't mention any names, but now they've just won some big contracts starting in January because of that.
And we're very proud of that.
Yeah,
certainly.
We're very proud of that. I must admit, when I first saw ISOs, I did think they were really complicated and time consuming, and how on earth are we going to do this? But that's what we're here for. We can help organizations with their ISOs.
Yeah. And going back to the favorite tools, the other one that I would really like to highlight is once again, in environmental management. I think BREEAM and LEED are two important tools in how we designed and how we build with environment in mind. The possibility, I really like BREEAM personally. It's a quantitative method to create a qualitative product. So in that sense, I find both BREEAM and LEED to be extremely good at having that effect. Listen, no tool is perfect. You will always have to invest a bit. You will always have to invest time, resources, and meetings, and probably technology to improve your designs, your buildings, and what facilities you manage. but there is certain power about thinking now on environmental and sustainability design for the future.
Yes, definitely, because we're running out of time if we don't.
Truly.
This might cause a bit of a controversy with our other consultants in the business. Is environmental management as important as health and safety?
Oh, topical.
You do health and safety as well, Nico. You don't just do environmental and sustainability for us and our clients.
Yes, yes, certainly. I think there is a lot of overlapping between the disciplines. There is a lot of specialisms that need to be brought to the business, and I do believe it's very cost effective to do the four of them at the same time.
Yeah.
It's certainly a great overlapping. So they are not more important, they are equally important, and it's more cost effective to think of them as a group, as an integrated management system. The more you invest in each system, the more you will have return on investment. And that's the way I will see it. One guy that I used to work with used to say, health and safety kills you today and environment kills you tomorrow, but both of them are really important. So I know that's an extreme view, but they're both of them quite important.
Yeah, definitely. Now moving on to sustainability, what services do Hillman provide and offer clients regarding sustainability?
So sustainability, to make the difference with environmental management, includes the social impacts and also the economic impacts. We do reporting based on GRI, Global Reporting Initiative. That is actually quite an effective method, standardized to compare other companies on your industry. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. And then we also do for sustainability, we look at the WELL standards, and we can create strategies, plans, KPIs, etc., that are tailored to each company. So yes, there is no one size fits all, but there is a standardized way.
So going back to the difference between sustainability and environmental, sustainability is more the social impact.
Not more, it's the three of them at the same time. So economic, social, and environment is sustainability. And then the environmental management is a more specific discipline that only considers the environment. It has some social and economic impacts that they are measured with it, but sustainability puts the three of them on the same plan.
Yeah. Big question now. If you could change something within companies, what would you change?
The perception that health, safety, environment, quality are a waste of money and waste of time.
Yeah, that's what we come across so many times until there's a big problem.
And you know, when we see other people doing it, we see, you know, the government not reacting on time for some health crisis. We say, oh, you know, they only react with the crisis. And we don't want companies to be like that. We want them to think in a proactive way, not to be reactive. I think if something we could change is the leadership mentality, And as you say, as I say, you know, like I do, and I'm very aware that the margins, especially SMEs in the construction FM industry, are working with. The margins are very small. In some cases, they are as small as 5%. One question is, how do you invest in training? How do you invest, you know, in quality, safety, environment, health? It's just impossible. So we have to rethink the economic model of the construction facilities management industry. There is much more that we have to reinvest. And, you know, competing on price is a race to the bottom. What you want is a company that has the leadership culture, the culture of safety, the culture of health, the culture of environmental management, and thinking sustainable for the future. You're just not building a building. This is not just a demolition. This is just not a fit out. This is something that people will have to live, experience, and really, you know, you have much bigger results than if you just think this as an economic transaction or just what do I need to do this fit out as is in the market. Well, no, you have an opportunity to be creative. You have an opportunity to lead with change, and that will win your contracts, not being the same as everyone else.
Yeah, and to plan for the future.
Exactly.
We were just talking, so many people are working from home at the moment. and for those people that may not have, I don't know, enough natural light coming into their working area or enough space.
Yes, lone working is a big thing, and as well, yes, the space that they have. Some people live in the ground floor, they may not have enough sunlight on the day, they will be constantly in shadows, and that has a toll in your mental health.
Yeah, it definitely affects your well-being. So how did you get it started? I know you're like really passionate about environment and sustainability. You could be talking to us all day on the subject. But how did you get started in this industry?
I think the environment passion was always there. The health and safety arrived a bit later. So what happened is that I started my career, let's say, I started the house from the roof. I started working with big companies in an organization that is called Business in the Community in Ireland. And I was working with these amazing companies doing amazing things. And I always felt, working as a consultant there, listen, I work with a strategy, but I never done it. And I feel that I need to do it to understand really this strategic side of things. And so I did. I got into construction. I then started working with quality, with health and safety, and slowly you start doing these courses, these diplomas, these etc. And you start growing yourself. And now I can see it in a more integrative way, and the impact that we can have of health, safety, environment, quality consultants. And not only that, the reporting, the business continuity, the data protection. I mean, we have to instigate that in all the cultures in the organizations we work. And that's what we do. And I think it just started with environment, and it just creeped into all of this that we do now.
Yeah, exactly. Nico, where are you from originally?
I was born in Argentina. I grew up in Spain, and then later, the longest period I've been in living in a place is Ireland. Then I moved to England. Then I forgot 1 year in Germany and a couple of summers waitering in France while I was doing my studies.
Wow,
to learn French. And now we're in Switzerland.
Exactly, in our Zurich office.
Yeah.
So just to recap on our environment services, what can we offer to businesses out there? Why should they contact Hillmont Associates?
They should contact us now to do their ISO if they don't have it, their integrated management systems, all the ISOs into one, to start winning more contracts. The market is competitive. There is a lot of packages from the European Union, from governments, coming into construction because we are the motor of the economy. And then all these buildings, all these businesses, and really all the novelties that they will come, they will actually have to call us for that. ISOs, BREEAM, LEED, reporting, strategies, and thinking different about their leadership culture and how to embed that into companies.
Yeah, and if anybody wants a free consultation, we can set this up with you so you can talk in more detail with them. Nico will keep you on the phone. Yeah, I think that's everything. What makes us different to other health and safety companies out there?
We have a lot of experience. We put a lot of accent on the leadership and coaching people into doing things differently and to think why they're doing something. So to change behaviors, you cannot go with a stick, a carrot, or a sermon. You just have to go with questions to try to understand what's the position of that person, why they're taking a risk. And in some cases, it's just about changing the culture and the behavior. Yeah,
which is something we're definitely good at our team. Nico, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Emma.
Enjoy your day, and I'll speak to you soon.
Ta-da.
Thank you.